Is on? Hey, thanks everyone. My name is Patrick Kell and I work for IMBA, that's the International Mountain Bicycling Association, and I'm the Southwest Regional Director. I live in Prescott, Arizona, so not too far from here, and the region that I work in is Arizona, New Mexico, Nevada and Utah. And then IMBA is also expanding our efforts in Alaska this year, so I'm the Regional Director for Alaska. I'll be heading up there for the first time, probably coming up in May. So what I'm going to talk about for about 20 minutes or a half hour or so this morning, I'm going to talk about IMBA's advocacy projects that we're working on around the Southwest region, focusing on new trail systems that we're developing, and also discussing what we're doing in terms of responding to forest plan revisions and other processes that we need to remain engaged in order to maintain access to existing trails. There's also going to be a workshop, I think this afternoon, about bike parks. So I won't talk too much about IMBA's involvement in any bike parks in Arizona, but the couple that we have been involved in will be discussed in the presentation this afternoon. So IMBA's mission is to create, preserve and enhance great mountain biking experiences, and that obviously is a very broad mission statement. It encompasses everything from the mapping program that we have, MTB project, which is an online mapping project, mapping phone application that we work on with the MTB project team and with REI. We have the IMBA Trail Care Crew, which is a traveling training program that goes all around the country, and they do presentations to communities, to land managers on all manner of trail planning and design processes. We have a department called Trail Solutions. That's the IMBA staff that do actual trail design and construction, and there are about 20 or 25 staff in that department. So the way that IMBA's structured and organized, like I said, we have those various departments. We have about 65 staff in total. Our office is in Boulder, Colorado, and probably only about a third of our staff, mostly our fundraising and development staff, our executive director, HR and such, that those folks are all based, our membership staff, they're all based at our office in Boulder, and the rest of us are all spread around the country. So I'm the regional director here in the Southwest. There are similar positions in the Atlantic states, in the Southeast, the South Central region, Pacific Northwest. We have probably 12 or 15 regional directors and assistant regional directors all around the country. And IMBA's a 501c3, we're a non-profit organization. We have about 45,000 members, and obviously that's tiny when you think of how many mountain bikers there are out there, but our membership is growing. We've seen increasing membership 30 of the last 31 consecutive months, so almost the last 3 years, every month, our membership has been growing, which is awesome. And the demand for our services is pretty phenomenal as well. Especially in the Southwest region here, I work a lot with BLM and the Forest Service, city parks, state parks, county parks, and the demands for the planning and design services that we offer are off the charts, is probably the best way to put it. So in the Southwest region, we have IMBA chapters. So we have about 210 chapters all around the country, and about 20 of those chapters are in the Southwest. In Arizona, there are 7 chapters. There's one up in the Kingman area, the Verde Valley Cyclists in the Sedona Verde Valley, the Prescott Mountain Bike Alliance. There's the Sonoran Desert Mountain Bicyclists who are down in Tucson, the Desert Foothills Mountain Bike Alliance who are in the Cave Creek, Scottsdale area, and the West Valley Trail Alliance are on the west side of Phoenix. And then a new chapter coming on board on up in the Mogollon Rim in the Payson area. And the way those chapters are structured is that IMBA handle all their membership. That's one of the reasons that IMBA is seeing growing membership and that our chapters are seeing growing membership, because we know how difficult it is for non-profits, for volunteer-only groups to manage and administer databases of members and encourage more people to join and send out mailings. So we do all that centrally for each of our chapters, and it's all sorted by zip code and such. And then so when someone goes to join one of those local chapters, you become a member of IMBA, and you become a member of your local club, and your funds get split so that once every calendar quarter, we send the chapter back a check for their membership during that whole previous calendar quarter. And it means then as volunteers, they get those groups focus more on actual trail work on the ground. They're building trails, they're building bike parks, they're meeting with the Forest Service, they're writing grants, but they don't necessarily have to focus on the day-to-day tasks of sending out mailings and processing membership checks on a regular basis. In Nevada, we have 2 chapters. We have one in the Las Vegas area, and a new one just starting soon. It's not on the map. It's going to be in the Reno, Carson City. In Utah, there's the Dixie Mountain Bike Trail Alliance, which is southwestern Utah. There's the northern Utah mountain bikers up near Ogden, the Moab Mountain Bike Alliance in the Moab area, and then a new one coming on board in Salt Lake City. Over in New Mexico, we have 5 chapters: Gallup, Los Alamos, Taos, Santa Fe, Albuquerque. So pretty much we're focused pretty much in the northern part of New Mexico, and that's where a lot of the populations are anyway. And then Alaska's part of the region. That's all very new to us. We just have one IMBA chapter up in the Alaska region. Then the very western tip of Texas is part of this region as well. We have one chapter which covers El Paso and south. So I'm going to talk about some of the large projects that we're working on around the region, and obviously this is an Arizona conference, but I want to give some examples of trail planning projects that IMBA are working on around the region, because I think there could be great models for what we could do here in Arizona. We are working in Arizona, and I think some of these projects could provide some really interesting insight as to how other projects could be developed. So this is Caliente, Nevada. It's about 2 hours north of Las Vegas. It's about 90 minutes west of Cedar City, Utah. We're working with the BLM, with the State Parks Department, with the City Council, the County Commissioners. And where we've gotten to with this project is, there's an example there. Those trails sort of up at the north, they're right out of Kershaw-Ryan State Park. The trails way down at the south end are on BLM land. The connecting trail in the middle is, that's all on BLM land. And where we're at now is that we have about 44 miles of trails designed, 42 miles of trails designed, all around this little town. So we're designing it in a way that visitors will come, that people will come and stay and play and recreate and spend their money. And also then we want to make it very easily accessible for local folks who live in this little town. 42 miles is planned, 27 of those are on BLM land, 12 at a state park, and 3 miles on city land. The good news with this project is that we have $1.75 million secured already for trail construction, bike parks, and trailhead parking facilities. And then we plan to go further north to the next couple of towns up, and up to a mountain range that hits about 9,000 feet elevation. In Superior, Arizona, so a lot more relevant and very close to here, we're working out in Superior. We've been working out there for about 18 months with the Tonto National Forest, with the town of Superior, with Resolution Copper. Obviously it's mining country out there, and Resolution Copper are one of the big companies who have huge mining operations. So they want to make a really positive impact back into the community of Superior. If you've ever been to Superior, it's a great little town. It's surrounded by a wealth of public land, but it certainly needs a boost in terms of tourism and healthy outdoor recreation for local folks. So we've been working with those partners for about 18 months, and we currently have a pretty significant trail system designed. The concept could be for up to 100 miles of trails all around Superior. We think it'll be really popular for tourists and visitors. It's Route 60. It's 50 minutes on one road directly out of Phoenix. You've got a great climate. Obviously it's really hot in the summer, but for another 3 seasons of the year, you've got really phenomenal climate to ride. And the terrain is amazing. There are big mountains out there, opportunities for traditional cross-country mountain bike trails, opportunities for more technical trails at higher elevation. We've looked at an area right behind the high school in Superior as a site where a competitive loop could be built for the high school mountain bike team, so that we could have a high school mountain bike race league, and they could have a track sort of on public land, but right behind their school. and a lot of buy-in from local partners. We do have an advisory group, a steering committee that meets once every month or two. The Arizona Trail Association, IMBA, the Forest Service, Backcountry Horsemen, Chamber of Commerce, lots of different groups involved, and everyone's very excited about this idea of developing a mountain bike trail system all around Superior that will bring tourists to the area, so they'll spend money and have that impact, and also will be good for the local residents in terms of creating easy access mountain bike trails. Kanab, Utah is another one of those large-scale projects that we're working on. This is way southern Utah, just north of Fredonia, Arizona, and again a landscape that's indicative of much of the Southwest. So in Kanab, we've done a design, probably about 50 to 75 miles of conceptual design and about 17 miles designed in detail. And the funding for this project for the design work came from the county tourism department. In the past, Kanab is, it's literally a gateway to Zion National Park. Zion National Park sees 3.5 million visitors a year. Maybe let's say 1 million of them come through Kanab. That's a lot of people coming, staying overnight in Kanab. So they're already busy. Their hotels are busy, but they want to be more than a gateway to somewhere else. They want to be a tourism destination in themselves. So they funded the design work from funds from their lodging tax. Same in Caliente, Nevada, the funding came from the city lodging tax, where you pay your hotel room and a little percentage goes into that fund. And in Kanab and Caliente, the money was then used to design mountain bike trails, which we think is a great use of the funds. And those trails start again right from downtown. So when you're in Kanab, literally 1 block or 2 blocks off Main Street is going to be a trailhead, which is again good for the local businesses and good for local residents. Cedar City, Utah, another very similar example. That photograph on the right, that's Interstate 15, heading back down towards Las Vegas, and then heading north up towards Salt Lake City. And we've built the first 5-mile loop in the fall. We'll be starting work again later on this month. Our staff are going to be out there. The BLM are very supportive and have provided the initial funding. And with all of these projects, we make sure that if we have a local IMBA chapter, local mountain bike club, local mountain bikers, whether they're just folks that ride or whether they're actually organized into a group, we make sure that what we're doing locally, that those local groups of mountain bikers are involved and very aware of what we're doing. So they're the projects that we're working on in the Southwest that are new trail designs from scratch, where there haven't been trails before. Then we get involved a lot in forest plan revisions. Obviously there's a ton of federal land, national forest in the Southwest, and we're always involved in those comment periods whenever there's a proposal to produce a new long-range management plan. That's when things like wilderness gets discussed, national monuments, areas that are given special designations for one reason or another. So we always get involved, or as often as possible, we get involved to make sure that mountain bike access is included. So northern New Mexico, there have been a lot of forest plan revisions in the last 6 months. Cibola National Forest, which is all around Albuquerque, and we have given our comments a pretty extensive comment. So we don't just say yes or no to anything for any reason, but for example in Cibola, in this forest plan revision, I referenced what we're doing in Superior, Arizona, and what we're doing in Caliente, Nevada, because this forest plan revision included designating wilderness around some little towns of maybe 1,000 or 2,000 people south of Albuquerque, and our position was these little towns could see a really significant growth in tourism if this land is designated as something other than wilderness, so that mountain bikes can be allowed. You can see tourists coming, and I use Superior and Caliente as examples where we're working with federal agencies to develop mountain bike trail systems that will benefit the local economy. Carson National Forest, it's northern New Mexico. Again, we've submitted our comment letters there, and interestingly in this forest plan revision, the Carson National Forest actually acknowledged that mountain biking is the fastest growing and the most underserved recreation activity on their national forest. Obviously that's a very good, puts mountain bikers in a very good position to make the case for more trails, for better trails, for alternate designations to wilderness. And then there's another meeting coming up in, next week or week after about that. Santa Fe, similarly, there's been a big push to expand an existing wilderness area in the Santa Fe National Forest, and wilderness advocates would like to expand it literally to come right into, you know, a block or two off downtown Santa Fe. And what we're saying is we don't think that's a good idea for lots of reasons: for the ability to effectively fight fires, for the opportunities to get kids outdoors and healthy right from their neighborhoods. Kids love riding mountain bikes, and if you've designated wilderness right behind the middle school, that's not going to be a good opportunity for children. Chugach National Forest, again up in Alaska, but we have submitted our comment letters there regarding their forest plan revision. In Caliente, for that process, they've just had their comment period, and they received a lot of very positive comments supporting the development of the mountain bike trail system. We worked a lot with Senator Feinstein in the Mojave Desert National Monument proposal, which we just passed probably in the last month or so. 3 new national monuments, one which has a very strong focus on preservation of natural resources, and many recreation activities are limited, but of the 3 national monuments, 2 allow mountain biking, which is great. Coconino National Forest, which is the Sedona area, again, they just had a comment period. We made sure and got our comments in recommending more trails for mountain bikes, trails that are actually designed with mountain bikes in mind, not just a generic trail that multi-users can be on, but a trail that's actually bike optimized is the term that we use. And then the same in the Prescott National Forest for the Bradshaw Ranger District, all around the town of Prescott. They currently have a planning process in the works, and potentially 75 miles of trails could be either legalized, trails that have been built sort of socially, or new trail construction. So that's a pretty phenomenal opportunity in Prescott, and we're making sure to get our comments in supporting the more and better mountain bike access. Some other initiatives in Arizona. I think Doug's here from Sedona. Doug's going to talk this afternoon about the Sedona Bike Park. I won't go into too much detail, but we did the conceptual design for that. We've done a conceptual design for a bike park in Tucson, a pretty big site, 100 acres. And then Anthony is going to talk about the Flagstaff Bike Park that we were involved in as well. We have been involved in the Prescott Circle Trail. It's a 55-mile loop around the city of Prescott. And our involvement last year was to secure a grant from the Recreational Trails Program to complete a piece of it. If you're familiar with Prescott, there's the mountain with the big letter P on it. And we secured a $50,000 grant to complete like a 2.5-mile section of the Circle Trail that was literally right underneath the letter P. The IMBA Trail Care crew, they come to Arizona regularly. That's the sort of the roving training program that we have. A couple of folks that drive all around the country doing trainings with land managers and volunteer groups. They've been in Flagstaff, Kingman, Prescott Valley, Phoenix, Scottsdale, Cave Creek, Tucson, Goodyear. They've had a very broad impact all around Arizona. We have the new chapter getting started up in Payson, sort of up in the Mogollon Rim. We've met with the Forest Service, that's the Tonto National Forest up there. Forest Service are extremely supportive. They want to develop more and better mountain bike trails, and they want an organized mountain bike advocacy group to do it. Even in a small town like that, if mountain bikers aren't organized, you could have, you know, a couple of guys who live at one end of Main Street approaching the Forest Service, and a couple of guys on the east end of town approaching the Forest Service. And the Forest Service, in this case and in every case, they say that they want to see mountain bikers organized into one cohesive group, and that's what we're working on up in Payson. Coming up in Prescott in a few weeks, we're doing a very specific training on rock armoring trails, how to build features on trails that are sustainable, that are appealing to mountain bikers, but still available for multi-use. And we have about 20 groups from all around Arizona coming to that training. I know that Thomas from down in Sierra Vista is going to be there. We have a free ride group from the Phoenix area, the Gravity Riders. They're going to be there. The Sonoran Desert Mountain Bicyclists, all those mountain bike clubs the Arizona Conservation Corps, the American Conservation Experience, folks from Flagstaff, Tonto National Forest, Coconino, Payson. We're going to have this training that is designed for folks who are the sort of the lead trail builders in their community, so they can learn these more technical skills on how to build rock armored features on mountain bike trails, and then take those skills back to their own communities. And that project's funded in part by the Prescott National Forest, and in the other half of the funding is coming from the Mountain Bike Association of Arizona. So they're a race league, and their the money that they collect goes right back into advocacy, and they're helping pay for this event, which is pretty phenomenal. Then the Rainbow Rim Trail, which is right up on the north rim of the Grand Canyon. If you're familiar with it, it's an 18-mile point-to-point trail. The Forest Service have all their NEPA and all their permission for a 14-mile extension. It's a really remote location, so it's hard to get out there regularly, but the Forest Service do have trail crews working on it. They bring Youth Corps crews in and to help. For the last couple of years, I've coordinated volunteer weekends up there, 1 or 2 a year. The next one's coming up June 18th and 19th. And we're gonna, we've had volunteer weekends with like 40, 50 people. Last year we kind of got rained out, snowed out actually when we had one. But we're pushing it a little bit into June this year to hopefully get better weather. And the goal is by the end of this year to have probably 5 or 6 miles added on to the existing Rainbow Rim Trail. So the actual loop won't be completed, but the trail will have gone from about 18 miles. By the end of this year, it should be about 24 or 25 miles long, which is awesome. That's the end of my slides, and I do see a question back there.
Yeah, that Prescott training that you guys have, is that still open and available? And when is it?
We're actually fully booked.
Okay.
Yeah, we're limited as to how many folks we could have come to it, and let's chat afterwards, and I'll get your name in case there's a cancellation or something.
Thank you.
Gentleman in the back.
So there's a lot of state trust lands, especially around Tucson, where we have trails that have been used for a long time, but they're not protected. We're having trailhead access issues. Are you doing anything specifically, working to, like Honeybee as an example, on the north side, in order to preserve those trails?
Yeah, I haven't been involved in that specific project. State trust land, I imagine it's similar to in Utah, where there's land, SITLA, an organization called SITLA, who manage large chunks of state land, but it's specifically for the benefit of the school system in the state. And I think that's the same with state trust land. So it's different than national forest or BLM or state park in that it's not necessarily public land that we can go through an advocacy process and eventually secure access on. It may, sometimes with those state trust lands, they can just say no because the activity that we're proposing may not benefit the school system financially. Not to say that I couldn't be involved in that, I just haven't been invited or discussed it with anybody yet.
I'd like to invite you to do that.
I'll get your name at the end and we can chat. Gentleman in the front.
Can IMBA help promote the completion of the Anza Trail throughout Arizona?
The Anza Trail?
Yeah, it's a historic the Anza Trail from Mexico through Tubac, through Tucson, and it, I think follows the Gila River over to California.
Yeah, we haven't been involved in it, but if it's a trail that's open to mountain bikes, there's nothing to say we couldn't get involved.
There's sections that have been done.
Okay.
But there needs to be a completion of the whole trail to make it really a national
Yeah.
trail.
Yeah, absolutely. And my time with IMBA is, it's focused around the southwest region. So we often get these requests, and sometimes, whatever the circumstances, we have to be a little bit, I hate to use the word mercenary, but sometimes we have to say, is there funding associated with this? Because there comes a time when I can come and do so much, but then there comes a time when much more sort of intricate planning and construction is needed, and we need to have funding for our staff to come and do that. So not to say that we can't with that or with the state trust land, but it depends on what the time commitment is.
Thank you, Patrick. Well, I think there was one more question. Sorry.
Quick.
Yeah, just one more. You mentioned that it's the fastest growing, most underserved community as far as recreation goes. But from the BMX perspective,